So now our car explorer page is ready. Now we'll move to our record page, and there we want to place a component called similar car component, to which we able to fetch the similar cars to our component. So let's go and create this component now. So let's go to VS Code and let's create a component. Let's give the component name similar cars, and now our component is ready. Let's go to the HTML of the component. For that, I'll just place all the tabs open. So first go to the HTML and let's create the lightning card. Let's give the title similar cars, and we can give the icon name as well. So we can add the icon to the card, and here we can say standard hyphen or colon link, and this will be our heading of the card. Then we have to create a button here, but before that we can create a div with a margin around. So we can say div class SLDS margin around medium, and we can give horizontal, both is fine. So now within this we're going to create a button, lightning button, and we want that button to be align center. For that, what we're gonna do, we'll create another div and give the class SLDS align absolute center, and this class will make our button align center. And let's create the button now, lightning button. Then we'll say variant, and we want it to be of red color, and for red we can give the variant destructive. Then we can say label, and the label will say fetch similar car or cars, and then on click of this we have to call an action. So let's add the action on click fetch similar cars, and let's close our lightning button, and let's go to our JS file and create this method, and let's create this and let's keep it empty right now, and let's deploy this component. And as we know, we are going to deploy this component to a record page, so let's change is exposed to true. Let's add the master label as similar cars, and then we can add the target to lightning record page, because we are going to place this component only in the record page. So now our component is ready. Let's deploy our component. So now component is deployed. I'm back to the app. Let's go to the record page. Let's go to the cars. Let's select any record page. So I selected a record Honda City, and now here we want to place our similar cars component. So let's go to the gear icon and click edit page. So our first thing, we have to remove this component. So hover over it and click on the bin icon. So now we have removed this component, and on the left hand side we're going to search for our component name, that is similar cars, and we'll place that component to our component area. And now our component is placed. It has a button. Let's save it, activate it, and we can say simply assign as org default and hit next, save, and now it's saved. Let's go back. So our component is ready, but we haven't done anything related to the fetching the data. So right now only the heading is coming, icon is coming, button is coming, and on click of this button we have to fetch the data. And to fetch the data we are going to write the apex method. So let's go back to our VS Code and let's go to our controller that we are already using, that is car controller. And in the car controller we are going to create a new method, and bottom we can go and create a new method. We will say public static we want to return array of cars. We'll say the method name is get similar cars, and it will receive car ID of type ID. We'll send the car ID to this method. Apart from that, we'll pass the array of make type, so data array of string, and we'll pass the make type. So we're going to test the similar car based on the make type. So if you are in a Ford record or a Hyundai or a Honda record, so it will only fetch that sort of make type cars. So we'll pass the car ID and the make type, not the card ID. And then here we're going to run our SOQL query. We'll say return select, we want to return ID, name, MSRP underscore underscore C. Then we want description underscore underscore C. Then we have category underscore underscore C. Then we have picture URL underscore underscore C. And in the last, we can add the make as well from car underscore underscore C. We'll say make from car underscore underscore C. So it will fetch all the details, but we have to make sure like there should be only details that are belong to this particular make type. So what we can do is we can add the where clause here. We'll say where make underscore underscore C in make type. So whatever the make type we pass, just bring only those car record that has this make type. Okay, and we have to do one more check here is that like if you are there are 3 Ford cars are available, and suppose you are using Ford EcoSport, right? You are in a Ford EcoSport record page. Now when from that record page you fetch the all make type, it should not fetch the same record again. So we have to make sure here when we are fetching the query, first thing fetch all the make type and don't fetch the ID for the record that you are already in, and that's why we are passing this car ID. So fetch all the similar make type, but don't send us the car ID that is already passed. So now we have our method ready. Let's deploy this method and let's go to our component similar cars.js, and here we are going to import that. So we'll say import get similar cars from @salesforce x slash car and car controller is the class name, and then the method name get similar cars. And here what we can do is here we can call it, because we are calling on click of a button, so here we're going to perform the apex call imperatively. So you already know how to do that. They directly get similar cars, we call that method, and here we have to pass few things. The first thing is the car ID, and you can make sure the name is correct, car ID and make type. So we'll pass the make type as well. The car ID is nothing that is this dot record ID, and we are already in the record page, so we can directly get the record ID using @API record ID, and we need to import the API from LWC package. And the second thing that we want to pass is the make type, and for that what we can do is we have to fetch the make type using the get record adapter. So for time being we'll keep it an empty string, and let's go and import the get record method basically. So we'll say get record is adapter, not method. Get record from lightning UI API, and we have to call this get record first. So we'll say @wire and call this adapter, and to use the wire we have to import the wire. And now we are calling the get record, and in get record we have to pass the record ID. And so we'll pass the record ID and we'll assign our record ID as a reactive property. So we'll use dollar record ID, it will pass the record ID, and we want the make type of this particular record page in which we are, so we have to pass the field as well. We'll say fields and we'll say make type or make field, and we'll import the make field the top. So we'll say import make field from @salesforce schema, then our object name, that is car underscore underscore c, then dot our field API name, that is make underscore underscore c. Here also it's make underscore underscore c. So once we fetch the record for this particular record ID, it gives us the detail for the field make field and make type basically. So we'll store that data as a property in the car, and now we can assign the make type directly here. We can say this dot car dot data dot fields and dot make underscore underscore c dot value. So we already have seen how get record works in our previous videos. So we are fetching the details for this particular record ID, and we are asking to give us only one field, that is make field. Once the wire receive the response, it will come in the form of data. So we'll say car dot data. Under the data there is a fields. In the fields we have the field name, and under the field name we have a value. So we are assigning that, and it's an object, so there should be a comma here. So now we able to pass make type as well. We fetch the make type using the get record, and now we'll say then, because it is a promise call, so we have to use then here. We'll say result. So once the result come, we'll store that result in the similar cars, and we can create the similar car property on the top. So we can create a similar cars, and once we get the similar cars, once we get the result, we store that in the similar cars, otherwise we'll catch the error, and we'll say error, and here we print console dot error, the error. So now once we get the similar cars, what we can do is we can show it inside our HTML, and before that let's print this result in our console. This dot similar car, and let's deploy this just to make sure whether we are getting the correct similar cars or not. And the deployment is failed because it's saying Apex action must be a static and annotated with aura enable, and I guess we missed that. So let's annotate it with aura enabled, and copy this and simply paste it here, and we can see now whether it's working or not. Let's deploy this first, and after that let's deploy the component again. So now our component is deployed, our class is deployed. Let's go to our record page, refresh the record page. So let's go to our console and let's clear the console, and now on click of fetch similar cars button, it will call the Apex method get similar cars, and it will bring the result, and that result we gonna print in the console. So let's hit this, and it's not fetching anything. Let's refresh it again, maybe the caching issue. Once more, let's try. And clear the console. Let's hit the button again, and yes, it was a caching issue. So now we are getting the records, and it's returning back the Honda Jazz and Honda WRV. So now we are able to successfully get these record, and now we have to show those records below this button, or we just hide this button and show those record. So let's go and do that. So now the data is available and we are storing the data in the similar cars. So let's go to the HTML and run the loop on the data. And here what we can do is inside the main div, we'll say template if true equal to similar cars, which means the data is there. If the data is available, where once the data initialize, because we haven't initialized with anything, so it's by default undefined and it will only get the data when the data is available. That's why we are writing the condition directly. If something is available, then only run this condition, and then if data is available, run the for each and check, go through each record of the similar cars, and each record we call it as car, and within this we are going to render our list. We can create a separate component or we can create the layout here itself. So let's create the layout here itself instead of new component. So I'll create a lightning layout. I'll say vertical align center, and this should will take the key because it's the first element in the loop, and key we can say car.id. id is always unique. And then we can create a layout. We'll say lightning layout item, and in the item first thing we can show the image. So for image we can say image equal to image source equal to, we have car dot picture, can copy the name picture URL, and here we can give the alternate text as car picture, and we can give some height as well. So we can give the height here itself. We say height 80 pixel to the image. It should not be very big, and let's close our image tag. Then after that we are going to create the another layout item, and here we'll say flexibility grow. So it will take the proper space, and we'll give the class slds padding horizontal small. So we are giving a small padding around this layout, and under this layout first thing we have to show the car name. So we'll say car dot name. After that we have to show the price of the car, and to show the price of the car we can simply use the lightning formatted number. So we can use another p tag, and under that we'll say lightning formatted number, and we'll say the format style is currency. So it will show that number in the form of currency. Let's make sure the spelling is correct, currency. Then we have to give the currency code so that it will show that symbol. Based on that we'll say the currency code is in USD. Then we can say the value is coming in the form of car dot msrp underscore underscore c, and then we'll say the max price, not max price, maximum fraction digits, and we can say 0. We don't want the price in the decimal, and we'll close our formatted number tag. And at the end we'll create another layout item, and that will be a button. We'll say lightning layout item, close this, and under this layout item we're going to create a button, and in this button we'll say label equal to view details, and on click of this particular button you will be navigate to that record which you are looking into. So let's say on click handle view details click, the button is closed, and on click of this button we want to navigate, so we have to implement the navigation service here. Let's go to JS, first create this method, and let's go to the top and import the navigation service. So we'll say import navigation mixin from lightning slash navigation, and now we have imported our method navigation mixin. Now we have to wrap our lightning element from navigation mixin. So now it tells this component is eligible to use our navigation service. So now navigation is available. Let's go and call the navigation mixin.navigate method. So the navigation mixin.navigate, and we'll call the method and pass the parameters. First is the type, and the type is standard record page. The second is attributes, and in attributes we have to tell to which record you have to navigate. So we'll say record ID is, and we have to store the record ID on which you have clicked. We'll do that in a minute. And then we have to give the object API name, and for that we can use directly this dot object API name, and we can simply check the object API name here and add the rate API object API name, so we can import directly the object. We are mapping that, and it's an object, so semicolon, and this should be colon, not equal. And then we have the last thing that to tell is the action name. So we'll say action name is view. So when you navigate, you should navigate in the view mode. And now we need the car ID, and this handle view detail click is in a loop. It's always recommend when you are rendering the stuff in the loop, always create a separate component, but here I haven't created it, so I need somehow the ID. And to achieve that, what I can do is I'll say data hyphen ID equal to car dot ID, and when we click on this button, we'll fetch this data ID. We'll say event dot target dot data set dot ID, and this method will receive an event. So this is the way how you can fetch the data hyphen things. So here the key name is ID, so you have to give that after the data set. So I'm saying I want the data set dot ID, and it will fetch me the record ID of a particular button that you have clicked. So let's deploy this and see whether the layout is working fine or navigation is working fine or not. So now it's deployed. Let's go back to our record page, refresh the page. So let's click on the fetch similar cars, and now it's showing something, but it's the image is still pretty big. Then we have the name, then we have the amount, and then we have a button. And once we show, we want this button to be hidden. And let's click on this Honda Jazz and see whether the navigation is working fine or not. And if I click, the navigation is working fine. We navigate to Honda Jazz, and now here if I fetch the similar cars, it will not fetch the Honda Jazz, but the other two will come. Now it fetching the Honda City and Honda BRV. So let's apply some styling, and let's see how we can reduce the size. We go to this select an element, click on this, let's hover over the image, and we'll try to apply some styling. And the style we can give here is height 80 pixel. Now it's going to 80 pixel, and we can say max width initial, take the initial width, and yeah, that's it I guess. Let's copy this style and go to CSS Let's create a CSS file here. We'll create file similar cars.css, and we say with the image tag with car class apply the styling, and let's define a style here. Instead of this 80 pixel, let's remove this is not working, so we'll say class car, and in the image tag, whenever they find like our style sheet find the car class along with the image tag, it will render the CSS. And let's deploy and see whether it's working or not. And apart from that, one more thing we have to handle. We want to handle this button should be hidden whenever we click on the button and we get the similar car. So to do that, what we can do is we'll just wrap this one. We'll say template if false, which means till the time similar cars is not available, till that time only show this button. Once the similar cars is available, don't show this button. So I'll cut everything that is related to button and put inside this template tag. So let's deploy this and see again. So now it's deployed. Let's go and refresh the page. So now let's click on fetch similar cars, and now you can see that the layout is coming properly. And if we want, we can make it a little bit bolder. You can simply go to the layout and just wrap our p tag car dot name within the strong tags and move it here so it will be bold. And now let's click on this view detail Honda City. It will navigate to Honda City. If I fetch a similar car, there will no Honda City, but the other similar make will come. So ours, this similar car component is working totally fine, and now even that button is not visible. And when I refresh, then only the button will be visible, because that time the similar cars will be not there. And that's here. Now button is there. If I click again, now it will fetch the details. You can optimize, you can show the loader on click of the button. There's all lot of things you can try with your own, but now our application is ready. And in the next video, we'll summarize what we have built and what we have learned throughout this Car Hub building journey. So I'll see you in the next video.